The patient arrived at 2:14 a.m. with no ID and a bullet wound that didn't bleed right. Nurse Sarah Moore reached for the chart, but her fingers found something else first, the edge of a metal badge hidden beneath his torn jacket. Her supervisor dismissed it. Just another gang shooting. But Sarah's pulse didn't quicken from fear. It quickened from recognition. She'd seen that badge before, in another life. And when the armed men in black suits filled the ER lobby 6 minutes later, she knew her two worlds were about to collide. Sarah had learned long ago to keep her hands steady. Even when her mind was calculating exit routes and threat assessments, the fluorescent lights hummed above Bay 3. The smell of iodine and fear hung in the air. Her patient, the John Doe with the federal badge, was unconscious now, stable. But the men in the lobby weren't here to thank her for saving him. Dr. Richardson burst through the double doors. His white coat was spotless, his arrogance predictable. Moore, what the hell's going on? There are armed men demanding access to my, Sarah almost smiled. They're federal agents, doctor. The patient is one of theirs. I don't care if he's the president. This is a hospital. Tell them to wait outside or I'll call security. Sarah's eyes flicked to the monitor. Heart rate steady. BP holding. She'd bought him time. Now she needed to buy herself some. I'll handle it, she said quietly. Richardson's face reddened. You'll handle it? You're a nurse, Moore. Stay in your lane. I'll deal with this. He stormed toward the lobby. Sarah followed 3 steps behind, close enough to intervene, far enough to appear compliant. The lead agent stood like a wall, 6'3", shoulders that filled his suit, a scar that ran from his left eye to his jawline. His hand rested near his hip, near his weapon. I'm Dr. Richardson. This is my, You cannot. Where is he? The agent's voice was gravel and ice. The patient is stable and under my care. You'll need to see him. Now. Richardson puffed his chest. I don't take orders from you. This hospital has protocols. The agent's eyes shifted. But not to Richardson. To Sarah. For half a second, their gazes locked. And in that half second, something passed between them. Recognition, not of faces. Of something deeper. Sarah stepped forward. Her voice was calm, professional. The voice of someone who'd diffused situations far more dangerous than this. Agent, your colleague is stable. He's sedated but out of danger. If you need to verify his identity, I can escort you to the bay. But only you. Your team stays here. The agent studied her, the way a wolf studies movement in the dark. Then he nodded. Richardson sputtered. Nurse Moore, you don't have the authority, Dr. Richardson. Sarah's tone didn't rise, but it cut clean. I've got this. She turned and walked. The agent followed. Behind them, Richardson stood fuming, humiliated in his own kingdom. Inside Bay 3, Sarah pulled the curtain. The agent moved to the bedside. His fingers found the patient's wrist. Checked the pulse himself. Then he looked at the 4-line, the sutures. Got the vitals on the monitor. You did this, he asked. Yes, you military. Sarah's jaw tightened. Just slightly. I'm a nurse. The agent's eyes narrowed. That's not what I asked. Before she could answer, the lights flickered. Once, twice, then the power died. Emergency generators kicked in 3 seconds later. Red backup lights bathed the ER in crimson, and through the windows, Sarah saw them. More vehicles. Black SUVs forming a perimeter around the hospital. This wasn't a pickup. This was a lockdown. The agent's radio crackled, a voice sharp and urgent. Hostile contact. 2 suspects entered through the south entrance. Possible breach on floor 2. Sarah's training flared to life. Every instinct she'd buried under scrubs and 12-hour shifts. She moved to the door, scanned the hallway. Stay with him, she said. Nurse, you need to... I said, stay with him. She was already moving. Her hand brushed the edge of the supply cart. Muscle memory, counting inventory, calculating what could be used, what could be weaponized. The agent watched her go. And for the first time that night, he looked uncertain. Because Nurse Sarah Moore didn't move like a nurse, she moved like a soldier. If you want to see how, Sarah's 2 lives collide and who she really is. Subscribe now. You won't want to miss what happens next. Asterisk, the south stairwell was never used. Too narrow, too dim. Perfect for someone who didn't want to be seen. Sarah's shoes made no sound on the linoleum. She'd learned to move quietly in places far worse than hospitals. Places where a footstep could mean death. She reached the stairwell door, pressed her ear against it, listened to voices, male, speaking a language she recognized but hadn't heard in years. Russian. Her hand went to her pocket. No weapon, no radio. Just a pen light and a pack of gauze. She almost laughed. Almost the door burst open. Sarah stepped back, hands raised, non-threatening. Her eyes took in everything. Two men, mid-30s, tactical boots. Concealed carry under their jackets. One had a fresh cut on his hand. The other's pupils were dilated. Adrenaline, lost, she asked, her voice steady, almost bored. The one with the cut stepped forward. Where is patient in Bay 3? His English was good. His intent was clear. There are a lot of bays. You'll need to be more specific. His hand moved toward his jacket. Sarah's body tensed. Ready. Do not play games, nurse. The federal agent, where is he? Sarah's mind worked fast. These men weren't here to rescue their colleague. They were here to silence him. He's in surgery, she lied smoothly. Moved 10 minutes ago. 4th floor. The second man spoke in Russian. Fast, urgent. The first man's eyes never left Sarah's face. You lie? Check the surgical board if you don't believe me. For a moment, no one moved. The emergency lights cast their faces in shadow. In the distance, Sarah could hear shouting, security, the federal agents mobilizing. Then the first man smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. You come with us. Show us. I'm needed here. Other patients now. His hand closed around her arm. Firm. Painful. A grip meant to control. Sarah let him pull her forward. 1 step, 2. Then she moved. Her elbow drove into his solar plexus. Hard. Fast. He doubled over, gasping. She pivoted, grabbed his wrist, twisted. The gun clattered to the floor. The second man reached for his weapon. Sarah was faster. She kicked the fallen gun toward the stairwell. Her hand found the first man's collar. She used his weight against him. Threw him into his partner. They crashed into the wall. Drywall cracked. Sarah didn't wait. She ran behind her, cursing. Footsteps, heavy and angry. She rounded the corner, the main corridor. Patients in wheelchairs, nurses at stations. Civilians everywhere. She couldn't lead them here. Sarah veered left. Toward the service elevator, it's the one that went to the basement. It's the tunnels that connected the hospital to the medical school next door. She slammed the button. The elevator groaned to life. The two men appeared at the end of the hall. One was bleeding now. The other had his weapon drawn. People screamed. The elevator door opened. Sarah stepped inside. Hit the button for B2. The doors began to close. Through the narrowing gap, she saw the first man raise his gun. Then someone else appeared, the federal agent from Bay 3. His weapon was already out, already aimed. Federal agent, drop it. The doors closed. The elevator descended. Sarah's heart pounded. Not from fear, from the rush. The familiar, terrible rush of combat. She'd kept this part of herself buried for 3 years. 3 years of bedpans and vitals and pretending to be someone she wasn't. But tonight, the mask was cracking. The elevator shuddered to a stop, basement level. The doors opened to darkness and the smell of damp concrete. Sarah stepped out. The tunnel stretched ahead. Emergency lights every 20 feet. Pipes overhead. The hum of machinery. She started walking, fast, controlled. Behind her, the elevator began to move again. Going back up, she had maybe 2 minutes before they figured out where she went. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Maintain cover. Extraction in progress. Do not engage. Sarah stared at the screen. The message disappeared after 5 seconds. Standard protocol. They were watching. They knew. But extraction meant exposure. Meant questions she wasn't ready to answer. She kept walking. The tunnel curved. Ahead, a door marked Authorized Personnel Only. Sarah pushed through. The medical school's sub-basement. Storage, old equipment. maintenance office, and a man in a janitor's uniform. He looked up from his clipboard. His eyes met hers. Nurse Moore? She froze. You need to come with me now. Who are you? He pulled back his collar. Just enough. A tattoo. A number sequence she recognized. Delta Force. Ma'am, we have a situation. The hospital is compromised. There's a kill team inside. They're not just here for the agent in Bay 3. Sarah's blood went cold. Who are they here for? The man's expression was grim. You, Colonel? The word hung in the air like a grenade. Colonel, her rank. Her real rank. The one buried under 3 years of anonymity and civilian scrubs? How many? She asked. 6 confirmed. Maybe more? Civilians? Evacuating now? But it's slow. Too slow. Sarah's mind shifted, from nurse to operative, from caregiver to commander. Get me a secure line to command, and find me a weapon. The man nodded. This way, they moved deeper into the tunnel. Into the dark, and Colonel Sarah more prepared to do what she'd been trained for, to fight. The maintenance office smelled like oil and old coffee. A single desk, a wall of monitors showing security feeds from across the hospital. Sarah watched the screens. The ER was chaos. Patients being moved. Federal agents forming defensive positions. And somewhere in that mess, 6 trained killers hunting for her. The Delta operator, his name was? Hayes handed her a secure phone, encrypted, untraceable. Command is waiting. Sarah pressed the phone to her ear. Viper, actual. The voice on the other end was familiar. General Catherine Reeves. Her former CO. The woman who'd signed off on Sarah's disappearance 3 years ago. Colonel Moore, it's good to hear your voice. Ma'am, I need to know what I'm dealing with. The agent in your ER is Lieutenant Marcus Webb. He's been undercover in a Russian sleeper network for 2 years. He was compromised 18 hours ago. We extracted him, but not before he was shot. The network knows he talked. They've sent a wet team to clean up. Why the hospital? Because they know you're there. Sarah's grip tightened on the phone. How? We're still working on that. But someone leaked your location. Someone on our side? A mole? Inside U.S. intelligence. Ma'am, there are over 200 civilians in this building. I need authorization too. You have full tactical authority, Colonel. Protect those civilians. Neutralize the threat. We're sending a tactical team, but they're 12 minutes out. 12 minutes. An eternity in a firefight, understood. Sarah. The general's voice softened. Just slightly. I'm sorry it came to this. I know what you gave up. Sarah looked at the monitors. At the nurses running through hallways. At the patients being wheeled to safety. At the life she'd built from nothing. I'll call you when it's done. She hung up. Hayes was checking his weapon. A Glock 19. Suppressed. What do you need, Colonel? Sarah studied the monitors. Floor plans forming in her mind. Choke points. Sight lines. Civilian density. How many friendlies do we have inside? 4. Including me. 2 are with the federal agents. One's on the 3rd floor. Former Marine. Works in radiology. The kill team will go for Webb first, and me. They'll want to eliminate us before exfil, agreed. Sarah pointed to a monitor. The 2nd floor. A long corridor leading to the ICU. This is their best approach. Low traffic. Direct access to Bay 3. They'll funnel through here. You want to set a trap? I want to buy time. Get the civilians out. Then we end this. He's nodded. What's the play? Sarah's eyes moved across the screens, calculating, planning. We give them what they want. We move Webb. Make it loud. Make it obvious. Draw them to the 3rd floor. And while they're chasing bait, we collapse on them from behind. Hayes smiled. It was the smile of a man who'd done this before. In worse places. Under worse odds. I'll coordinate with the others. Where do you want to be? Sarah stood. Her hands were steady. Her mind was clear. I'll be with the bait. 20 minutes later, Sarah was back on the 2nd floor. She'd changed into clean scrubs, grabbed a medical bag. To anyone watching, she was just another nurse, overworked, exhausted, invisible. She moved through the corridor. To Ward Bay 3, the federal agents recognized her. They let her pass. Webb was awake now, groggy but conscious. His eyes tracked her as she approached. "You're not just a nurse," he said. His voice was rough, dry. "Drink this." She handed him a cup of water. He drank. Then he asked again, "Who are you?" "Someone who's keeping you alive." "The men who shot me. They're here, aren't they?" Sarah checked his four. "Yes. You should run." "I don't run." Webb studied her, really looked at her, the way she moved, the way she held herself, military. Sarah didn't answer. She was listening to the sounds of the hospital, the hum of machines, the distant voices, the rhythm of a place she'd learned by heart, and then she heard it. A sound that didn't belong. Footsteps, tactical boots, moving fast. "Moving wrong. They're coming," she said quietly. She moved to the doorway. Signaled to the federal agents, they understood immediately. Weapons up. Positions taken. Sarah grabbed the gurney. Started wheeling Webb toward the service elevator. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Moving you." "Third floor. Operating room. That's not, trust me." The elevator doors opened. Sarah pushed the gurney inside, hit the button for 3. As the doors closed, she saw them. 3 men. Entering the corridor, weapons drawn, the federal agents opened fire. The sound was deafening. Muzzle flashes lit the hallway. The elevator climbed. Webb stared at her. "You're using me as bait." "Yes. And yourself." "Also yes." "That's insane." Sarah almost smiled. "Probably." As the elevator stopped. Third floor. The doors opened to an empty hallway. Too empty, she pushed the gurney out, slowly, listening. Then she heard it. The soft click of a weapon being readied. Sarah dropped. The gurney rolled forward. Gunfire erupted. Bullets tore through the space where she'd been standing. She rolled left. Behind a supply cart, her hand found a metal tray. She threw it hard, fast. It struck the shooter in the face. He stumbled. Sarah was on him. She drove her elbow into his throat, grabbed his weapon, a submachine gun. HKMP-5 she fired. 3-round burst. Center mass, the man dropped. Sarah moved. Keeping low, covering Webb. 2 more shooters appeared. From opposite ends of the hallway? Crossfire, Sarah calculated. 2 seconds, maybe less. She fired at the one on the left. Forced him back, then she grabbed the gurney. Shoved it toward the right. The shooter hesitated. Didn't want to hit Webb. That hesitation cost him. Hayes appeared from a side room. His Glock barked twice. The shooter went down. "You good?" Hayes asked. "Yeah, you." "Better now." Footsteps. Running. More of them coming. Sarah checked the MP5. "Half a mag left. We need to move." Hayes pointed to a door. "Operating theater? Reinforced? We can hold there." They moved fast. Webb's gurney rattled. Sarah's hands never left the weapon. Inside the OR, they locked the door, pushed a surgical table against it. Hayes spoke into his radio. "All units, targets engaged. 3rd floor or how copy?" Static, then a voice. "Copy. 2 down on 2nd floor. For hostiles remaining. Federal team is mobile. 8 and 90 seconds. Sarah moved to the window. Looked down. The hospital grounds were lit up. Police, SWAT, federal vehicles everywhere. And in the distance, the sound of helicopters. It was cavalry's arriving. Hayes said. Sarah nodded. But her mind was elsewhere. On the mole. On whoever had sold her out. This wasn't over. The door shuddered. Someone was trying to breach. Sarah raised the MP5. "Get ready." Asterisk, the door buckled. Metal groaned. Someone was using a battering ram or a breaching tool. Sarah checked her sightlines. The operating table wouldn't hold long. Maybe 30 seconds. Webb was conscious now. Adrenaline cutting through the sedation. He reached for the scalpel tray beside the gurney. "Stay down," Sarah ordered. "I can fight. You can barely sit up. Stay down." Move to the left side of the door. Sarah took the right. Classic breach formation. When the door came down, they'd have overlapping fields of fire. The pounding stopped. Silence. Sarah's finger hovered over the trigger. She knew this tactic. They were either regrouping or preparing something worse. Then she heard it. A soft metallic clink, rolling across the floor outside. "Grenade!" Hayes shouted. Sarah didn't think. She dove, grabbed Webb's gurney, pulled it behind the surgical equipment. Heavy machinery. X-ray machines. Lead, dash-lined. Hayes hit the floor. The explosion was massive. The door blew inward. Fire and smoke filled the room. The surgical table flew across the floor like a toy. Sarah's ears rang, but her training held. She rolled to one knee, brought the MP5 up. 3 men poured through the breach. Smoke obscured them, but Sarah had trained in worse conditions. In sandstorms, in burning buildings. In the dark, asterisk she fired. Controlled bursts. The first man dropped. Hayes fired from the left. The second man stumbled, fell. The third man was faster, better trained. He rolled behind cover. Fired back. Rounds punched through surgical equipment. Glass shattered. Monitors exploded. Sarah moved, flanking, using the smoke. She came around the left side, saw him, lined up the shot. Click. Empty. The man turned, smiled, raised.
Pass.
Then Webb threw the scalpel. It wasn't a perfect throw, but it didn't need to be. The blade caught the man in the shoulder. He jerked. His shot went wide. Sarah was already moving. She closed the distance, grabbed a metal instrument tray, swung it like a bat. It connected with his skull. He went down hard. Sarah disarmed him, checked his pulse. Alive. Unconscious. Hayes was on his feet. "We need to move now." Agreed. They grabbed Webb, moved him toward the back exit. The one staff used, the one most people didn't know existed. Asterisk, the hallway was clear. For now, Sarah's radio crackled. A voice she didn't recognize. "Colonel Moore. This is Major Flynn. Federal Tactical Team. We're in the building." "Where are you?" Sarah keyed the mic. "3rd floor. East wing. We have the package. 4 hostiles down. Unknown number still active. Copy, stay put. We're coming to you. Negative. We're mobile. 2 exposed here. Colonel, that's Major. I have tactical command. We're moving to the basement. Secure the upper floors." Pause. Then, understood. "We'll clear down to you." Sarah, Hayes, and Webb moved fast. The service stairs down. Down. Back toward the tunnels. Behind them, the sound of boots, shouting. Federal teams clearing rooms. Asterisk, they reached the basement. The same tunnels Sarah had used before. The same darkness. Hayes took point. Sarah covered the rear. Webb was between them, pale, sweating but alive. "Almost there," Sarah said. Then the lights went out. Complete darkness. Emergency systems failing or sabotaged? Sarah activated her phone. Used the light. Shadows danced on the walls. Haze. Here, 10 feet ahead. They moved by feel, by memory. Sarah had walked these tunnels 100 times during her 3 years as a nurse. She knew every turn, every door. But knowing and seeing were different things. Something moved in the dark. A sound, soft, deliberate. Sarah stopped. Listened, breathing. Not hers. Not Hayes's. Not Webb's. Someone else was down here. She raised the captured weapon. Swept the darkness. A voice cut through the black. Female. Accented. Russian. "Colonel Moore, we meet at last." Sarah's blood went cold. She knew that voice. From mission briefings. From intelligence reports. Katya Volkov, FSB, one of Russia's most dangerous operatives. Let the men go, Katya said. This is between us. Not happening. Then they die with you. Muzzle flash. The tunnel erupted in gunfire. Sarah dove left. Returned fire. The sound was deafening in the enclosed space. Hayes fired. Webb rolled off the gurney. Found cover behind a support column. The exchange lasted seconds. But in the dark, seconds felt like hours. Then silence. Sarah's ears rang. She could smell gunpowder. Concrete dust. Hayes. Hit shoulder, I'm good, Webb. Still breathing? Sarah moved forward, carefully. Her light swept the tunnel. Katya was gone. But there was blood on the floor. A trail leading deeper into the tunnel system. Sarah keyed her radio. Major Flynn. Suspect is heading toward the medical school. Female. Armed. Extremely dangerous. Copy. We're sealing the exits. Sarah turned back to Hayes. His shoulder was bleeding. Not arterial. But he needed help. Can you move? Yeah, I've had worse. She helped him up. They grabbed Webb, kept moving. 5 minutes later, they emerged into the medical school's loading dock. Federal agents swarmed the area. SWAT, paramedics, command vehicles. Sarah handed Webb off to the medics. Hayes waved off help, stubborn. A man in a suit approached. Tall, 50s, salt and pepper hair. He had the walk of someone who'd spent decades in the military. Colonel Moore. Sarah straightened. Despite the blood, despite the exhaustion. Yes, sir, Major General Holt. I'm overseeing the federal response. General Reeves asked me to secure you personally. Sir, there's still a hostile in the tunnels. Katya Volkov, FSB. She's wounded but mobile. Holt nodded. We're on it. SWAT is sweeping now. We'll find her, Sarah wanted to argue. Wanted to go back in? But she was running on fumes, and she knew it. Sir, there's a mole. Someone gave up my location. We're aware. Counterintelligence is already investigating. Paramedic approached. Tried to check Sarah for injuries. She waved them off. I'm fine, Colonel. You're covered in blood. None of it's mine. Holt stepped closer. Lowered his voice. Sarah, it's over. You did good. Now, let us handle the cleanup. Sarah looked back at the tunnel entrance. At the darkness she'd just escaped. Is it over? Because it doesn't feel over. Holt didn't answer. He didn't need to. They both knew this was just the beginning. 2 hours later, Sarah sat in a command trailer parked outside the hospital. She'd refused medical treatment. Refused rest. She needed answers. General Reeves appeared on the secure monitor. Her face was drawn, tired.
Colonel?
Situation report. Sarah straightened in her chair. 6 hostiles neutralized. 1 escaped into the tunnel system. Lieutenant Webb is stable. No civilian casualties. Federal agents sustained minor injuries. We got lucky, ma'am. Luck had nothing to do with it. You held the line. Sarah said nothing. She didn't feel victorious. She felt exposed. The mole, she asked. Reeves's expression darkened. We've identified a suspect. Someone in Webb's handler chain. They're in custody now. But Sarah, there's something else, ma'am. Katya Volkov. We found her. Sarah leaned forward. Where? Deceased. In the tunnels. Single gunshot wound. Self-inflicted. Sarah's jaw tightened. Katya didn't seem like the type to give up. To end it herself? You're sure? Forensics is confirming. But yes, it's over. Over, that word again. Sarah didn't believe it, ma'am. What happens now? To me, Reeves sighed. That's complicated. Your cover is blown. The hospital staff saw you fight. They saw federal agents defer to you. Questions are being asked. What's the official story? That you're a former military nurse who assisted in a federal operation? We're keeping your rank classified? But Sarah, you can't go back. Not to that hospital. Not to that life. 3 years. 3 years of building something normal. Something quiet. Gone in one night, I understand. We have options for you. New assignment. New cover. Or you can come back to active duty. Full operational status. Sarah looked at her hands. Still steady? Still stained with someone else's blood? Can't have time to think about it? You have 24 hours. Then I need an answer. The call ended. Sarah sat in the silence. Outside, the hospital was still lit up like a Christmas tree. Police tape, news vans. Civilians being interviewed, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Back entrance. 5 minutes. Alone. Sarah stared at the message. Every instinct screamed trap, but she went anyway. The back entrance was a service door near the dumpsters. The smell of rotting food and disinfectant hung in the air. A figure stepped from the shadows. Female, mid-40s, professional attire. Sarah's hand went to her waistband. No weapon. She'd been disarmed when she entered the command trailer. The woman raised her hands. I'm unarmed. And I'm not here to hurt you. Who are you? My name is Director Sophia Chen. I run a division you've never heard of. And I'm here to offer you something. I already have offers. Not like this. Chen stepped into the light. Her eyes were sharp, calculating. I know what you did tonight, Colonel Moore. I know what you gave up 3 years ago. And I know you're tired of hiding. What do you want? I want to give you a choice. A real one. Chen pulled out a tablet, showed Sarah a file, photos, documents, names.
Ow.
This is the network that sent Katya Volkov. It's bigger than we thought, deeper. And it's not just Russian. It's multinational, intelligence, military, corporate. A shadow network operating inside our own government. Sarah scrolled through the file. Her blood went cold. Some of these names were people she'd worked with, trusted. This is treason, espionage, murder, all of the above. Chen took the tablet back. We've been investigating for 2 years, but we can't move openly. Too many connected players? We need someone who can operate in the shadows. Someone with your skills. Someone who's already dead on paper. I'm not dead, but you could be. Officially, Nurse Sarah Moore disappears. Resigns quietly. Moves away. And in her place, someone new. Someone with access. Someone who can infiltrate this network from the inside. Sarah studied Chen. Why me? Because you've already proven you can live a double life. Because you're smart, capable, and because you have nothing left to lose. That last part stung. Because it was true. What about my oath? I'm a soldier, not a spy. And soldiers follow orders. I'm asking you to follow one more. To protect your country from an enemy it doesn't even know exists. Sarah looked back at the hospital, at the building she'd called home for 3 years, at the life she'd built and lost in a single night. Out. I need to think you have 10 seconds. After that, I walk. And this opportunity doesn't come back. Chen wasn't bluffing. Sarah's mind raced. The weight of the choice. The impossibility of it. But then she thought of Webb, of the federal agents who'd fought beside her, of the civilians who'd almost died because someone had betrayed them all. She thought of Katya Volkov, dead in a tunnel. A woman who'd served her country and lost her soul. Sarah didn't want to become that, but she also couldn't walk away. I'm in, she said, but I have conditions. Chen smiled. I expected nothing less. 30 minutes later, Sarah was back in the command trailer. General Reeves was on the screen again. Colonel Moore, have you made your decision? Sarah stood at attention. Yes, ma'am. I'm resigning my commission. Effective immediately. Reeves blinked. Surprised. Sarah, you don't have to, ma'am. I appreciate everything you've done for me, but I need to step away. From all of it, Reeves studied her, searching for the truth beneath the words. Finally, she nodded. If that's what you want, your resignation will be processed. You'll receive full benefits. And your service record will be sealed. Thank you, ma'am. Sarah, Whatever you do next, be careful, the call ended. Sarah stepped out of the trailer. The sun was rising. Pink and orange streaking across the sky, Director Chen was waiting by a black SUV. Ready? She asked. Sarah looked back one last time. At the hospital. At the people moving through the parking lot. Doctors, nurses, patients. She thought of Dr. Richardson, of his arrogance. Of the look on his face when she'd taken control. She wondered if he'd ever understand. What had really happened? Probably not. Sarah climbed into the SUV. Chen followed. Where are we going? Sarah asked. Somewhere you can disappear. For a while, and then we'll begin. The vehicle pulled away. And Nurse Sarah Moore Colonel, Sarah Moore vanished into the dawn, but her story wasn't over. It was just beginning. 3 days later, the hospital had returned to its normal rhythm. The damage had been repaired. The federal agents were gone. The news trucks had moved on to other stories. Dr. Richardson stood in the hallway outside what used to be Bay 3. The curtain was pulled back. The bed was empty. Clean sheets. No sign of the chaos that had unfolded there. He still couldn't make sense of it, nurse. Sarah Moore. Quiet, competent, unremarkable, except she'd fought off armed men. Taken command. Moved like someone trained for war. The hospital administrator had told him to forget it. To move on, but Richardson couldn't. He'd pulled her file. It was thin. Education, certifications, standard background check. Nothing unusual. But there were gaps. 3 years before she started at the hospital, no employment history, no references. Like she'd appeared from nowhere. A voice interrupted his thoughts. Dr. Richardson, he turned. A man in a dark suit. FBI credentials in hand? I need to ask you some questions about Nurse Moore. Richardson straightened. I already gave a statement. This is a follow-up. Won't take long. They moved to a conference room. The agent sat across from him. Pulled out a notebook. He worked with Sarah Moore for 3 years. What can you tell me about her? She was professional, competent, kept to herself mostly. Did she ever talk about her past? No, never. Did you notice anything unusual about her behavior? Training? Skills? Richardson hesitated. No, not until that night. The agent made a note. What happened that night, doctor? I don't know. Everything happened so fast. There were armed men, federal agents, and Sarah. She took charge, like she'd done it before. Did she identify herself as military? No, but the way she moved, the way she fought, she was trained. The agent closed his notebook. Dr. Richardson, I need you to understand something. Nurse Sarah Moore was assisting a federal operation. What you saw was an isolated incident. She's no longer with the hospital. And for security reasons, we need you to stop asking questions. Security reasons? Yes, this is a matter of national security. If you continue to investigate, you could compromise ongoing operations. Richardson felt his face redden. I have a right to know. You have a right to be informed that this conversation is classified. If you discuss it with anyone, colleagues, media, family, you will face federal charges. The agent stood, handed Richardson a card. If you remember anything else, call this number. Otherwise, move on. He left. Richardson sat alone in the conference room, angry, confused, and something else. Impressed. That same afternoon. Across the city, in a secure facility, buried 3 levels underground. Sarah Moore stood in front of a mirror. Her hair was different, shorter, darker. Contacts changed her eye color from brown to green. New clothes. New posture. A new identity. Director Chen entered the room. How do you feel? Different. Good. Different is what we need. Chen handed her a folder. Your new cover. Marketing consultant. You'll be embedded in a defense contractor. Your target is their CFO. We believe he's funneling money to the network. Sarah opened the folder. Studied the details. The company. The target. The mission, it was familiar and terrifying. When do I start? Monday. You'll have a team on standby. But you'll be operating alone most of the time. Like you did at the hospital. Looked up. The hospital was reactive. This is different. This is what you signed up for. I know. Chen studied her. Second thoughts? Sarah thought about it. About the life she'd left behind. The patience. The routine. The simplicity. But she also thought about the mole. About Katya Volkov. About the network still operating in the shadows. She said. No second thoughts. Chen nodded. Good, because there's one more thing. She pulled out a tablet. Showed Sarah a video feed. It was the hospital. The main entrance. A black SUV pulled up. The door opened, and out stepped a man in a military dress uniform. 4 stars on his shoulders. A general, he walked through the entrance. Staff stopped, stared. He moved through the hallways. People whispered. Pointed, he reached the nurses' station on the 2nd floor, where Sarah had worked for 3 years. The nurses gathered, confused. Nervous, the general spoke. Sarah couldn't hear the audio, but she could read his lips. I'm looking for Nurse Sarah Moore. One of the nurses shook her head. She resigned. Left a few days ago. The general nodded. Then he did something unexpected. He saluted. A full military salute. Held it. Tell her, he said. The General Marcus Hayes sends his regards. And his gratitude. The nurses stood frozen. Not understanding, the general lowered his salute, turned, and walked out. Sarah stared at the screen. Hayes, the Delta operator. He'd survived, recovered, and he'd gone to her hospital. To honor her, Chen paused the video. He wasn't supposed to do that. We warned him, but he insisted. Sarah felt something tighten in her chest. Not sadness, not regret, pride. He'll talk. Sarah said, the staff, Dr. Richardson, they'll figure it out. Let them talk. Let them wonder. You're gone, and the woman they knew never existed in the first place. Chen was right. Nurse Sarah Moore was a ghost now, but Colonel Sarah Moore, the real. Sarah Moore was alive, and she had work to do. 1 week later, Dr. Richardson sat in his office. Late evening. The hospital was quiet. His phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Thank you for your service, doctor. Take care of our patients. S.M. Richardson stared at the screen, his hands trembling. She'd contacted him. One last time, he typed a response. Who are you? The reply came instantly. Someone who kept a promise. Then nothing. The number disconnected. Gone. Richardson leaned back in his chair, and for the first time in days, he smiled. He didn't know who Sarah Moore really was, what rank she held, what missions she'd been on. But he knew one thing. She was a soldier, and she'd protected them. He deleted the message, closed his eyes, and whispered 2 words into the empty room. Thank you. Far away, in a new city, under a new name, Sarah Moore walked into her first day at the defense contractor. No one knew her. No one suspected she was invisible again. But this time, she wasn't running. She was hunting. And the network that had tried to kill. Her that had betrayed her country would never see her coming. Because the best weapon isn't the one you see. It's the one you underestimate. The nurse in the shadows. The soldier in SCRUBs. The woman who saved lives by day and hunted monsters by night.